Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of
The Low Enzo Show.
This is going to be a good episode. I'm really excited about it.
This is going to be a juicy episode, you guys. We've been withholding these goods. We've hinted at it a little bit, but...
Zoe is really putting herself on the line today. She's been willing to share some juicy gossip with...
The tea.
Yeah, the tea. This is the Low Enzo tea, if there ever is any, which... I feel like we don't actually live that exciting of lives. So this is probably as good as it's ever going to get. But yeah, today we are going to share a manifestation story of Zoe's that really speaks to everything that we've been talking about lately when it comes to quantum creation and this entirely different way of manifesting and just a quantum leap success story that you've experienced in your love life.
Yeah.
Miss Zoe Ariel.
So let's get started.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Zoe, and this is the
Low Enzo Show. We're coaches and entrepreneurs who firmly believe that an abundant mind is the key to an abundant life.
On this podcast, we're going to be talking everything from how to manifest more money, travel, success in business, and beyond.
To overcoming the blocks that are holding you back.
To rewiring your brain so you can easily attract whatever it is you want the most in life.
If you haven't already, be sure to join us inside our Facebook community, Abundant Mind Tribe, for daily tips, mindset hacks, manifesting tricks, and more that'll allow you to build the confidence you need
to manifest the abundant AF life you deserve.
Now let's get started. All right, you guys. So today, just so you guys know, we've been talking about our course, the Quantum Creators course, which launched on Friday. And for those of you who dove straight in and are excited to get started with us, we cannot wait to work with you. Like this, honestly, this program is, I wish the entire world had access to this information. It would just change absolutely everything. But yeah, today is the last day of pre-sale. So tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, the price goes up $100 for the Quantum Creators course. And so today, and I believe on Thursday, there's going to be episodes that are just sort of quantum inspired. And we thought of no better way to kind of compare the quantum method of manifestation to sort of traditional law of attraction manifestation teachings than by sharing a story that has unfolded since the first time that we launched QC Squared.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about like where to even start with this though, because it is your story, but I've been along for the ride.
Yeah. So I'm going to start. We'll zoom or what do you call it? Zoom backwards in time.
Sure. Yeah.
Time doesn't exist anyways.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 3 years ago or so, I actually manifested a trip to Puglia, Italy, which I wanted to go. And there was a couple who hosted us at this home, and we had dinner with them on the first evening. And they told us a story about how they manifested each other. So they had each written out lists of everything that they kind of desired in a partner, and 2 weeks later, each of them found each other and have this beautiful romance and love story. So I was very inspired by that, and I was like, wow, I've never made a list. So I made a list of this person, my ideal person, and I wrote different traits about them. I wrote what they looked like. I wrote what one of our first dates was like, how we spent time together, what this person did, and what their name was.
She literally like named this imaginary person, and it's like not a super common name either.
It's definitely not a super common name.
It's not like Mike.
Yeah. And so I named this person, and then a few months later, I found myself in San Diego, California, and my amazing, vibrant friend Gabby dragged me to go to this vegan bar called Kindred. If any of you ever are in San Diego, I highly recommend. And I didn't want to go. So this is part of it. Like, I didn't want to go, and Gabby was like, no exceptions, called the Uber. We went from this restaurant that we were at to Kindred, and we just sat at the bar and got a drink. And then she's like, Zoe, like, there's this guy, and he's just like looking at you, and like, hold on, wait a minute. So Gabby strikes up a conversation with him like she would, and then introduces us. And he comes over. He's super handsome. Like, this is like my type.
So that's a very specific type of man.
And so he comes over, and he was like just such a gentleman. And he's like, and what's your name? And I was like, I'm Zoe. And he's like, hi, Zoe, I'm blank. And it was the name of my manifestation guy.
Yeah.
Quantum man. We'll just call him the quantum man.
Yeah, your quantum man.
My quantum man. And it was his name. And I remember when he said that to me and we shook my hand, I was like,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
great. And we ended
I
up,
wrote you down.
yeah. And I was like,
I
oh my God,
created
this
you.
is him. Because the way he addressed me was just like, hi, Zoey, I'm blank. Like,
And you were like, of course you are.
and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what? And we ended up, like, Gabby made friends with his sister and her husband, and they were talking all night, and I spoke with him the whole night. Like, we had a few drinks. We were talking all about the universe and space and, like, all the good stuff. And he was so sweet and kind and told me just how I should spend my birthday in Mexico. So Gabby and I ended up, like, taking his advice, and I had, like, one of my most memorable days of my life, really. We went down to this place that he recommended, and it was amazing. And we ended up seeing each other, like, in San Diego. And the exact way that our time together unfolded was just as I had written it down this man to be. Like, the music we listened to, the fact that he played music, which instruments he played, which songs he played for me, like, everything. I'm withholding some details just so I could gush about this forever.
I mean, if he listens to this, he's going to know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So
but that's okay.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so it all happened this way. And so what ended up happening was we kept in touch after I went back to Rome, and every time I've gone back to San Diego, I've seen him, which is like
it was
once
a little
or
bit of
twice
a whirlwind love story.
Yeah, whirlwind love story, whirlwind
Yeah.
romance, and I just never forgot about him. He really set a new level for the type of man that I wanted in my life.
Yeah.
And not like I was always comparing other people to him, but he set this new standard where I was like, guys, men exist out there like him, like my quantum man, like this pure energy, a gentleman, just so kind and sweet, and just, I don't know.
And this is not
special.
the manifestation story, by the way. This is the pre-manifestation.
This is the pre-manifestation
story. Yeah.
So, and through the years since then, I've dated people. Lord,
Yesterday I saw this meme that was like, when your friend keeps complaining about the guy you told her to break up with 2 years ago, and it's like Snoop Dogg rolling his eyes, and I'm like, love you, Zoe. Just kidding, but not really. We've all been there.
Basically, I've had a lot of lessons to overcome.
Haven't we all? Yeah.
In a short period of time.
Often from the same person. So, yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's important to look at, where you were before we kind of get into the depth of the story, where you were last year, in your dating life. And it's very much like where I have been in my dating life, which is this like insecure, like grasping, or maybe not insecure, but like unsure, grasping, doubtful energy where you might meet someone that you like and you get so in your head about it. Especially with all the law of attraction teachings, which says like, if you want to attract love, you have to be love. And so then these doubts present themselves and we get into this place of anxiety. And then we get into this place of having anxiety over the fact that we have anxiety because like, oh my gosh, what am I going to create? So could you explain to us just where you were at, a year ago or last fall? Because it's going to kind of like paint the story for like what shifted so drastically between then and like getting into the quantum creation method of manifestation.
Yeah. So last summer when I moved back to Toronto, and I remember you and I went out for dinner, and this when we first started talking about everything that we wanted to create, and if you were to ask me where I was at in dating, it was just like I just wasn't good enough for anyone. Yeah. Like I was really hard on myself, really mean to myself, honestly. I didn't think that I had anything to bring to I just did not see myself as a value. It sounds so bad to talk about myself this way, but I really did not see myself as a valuable person to be around. I just didn't. You had a lot of
low
self-esteem.
A lot of like rules as to why someone wouldn't want you at this point. Like I still have debt, and I'm not where I should be in my life, and all that kind of thing.
And I just moved back from Italy. I don't even know exactly what I'm gonna do this next year. Like there was so much uncertainty, and I really like internalized that as like, who would want to be with someone who like I don't know.
Well, and I think one thing that's important to note here is like, I feel like when you and I share openly about some of these things, people are like, oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. Like, how could you think that about yourself? But the stories that we have about ourselves are real. Like they're real. The most beautiful woman in the world could be the most insecure. And it doesn't matter how many people tell her that she's beautiful. If she doesn't do the work to believe herself, she like really, really believes that she's not desirable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's real. And I've often, like when I've talked about like my body and like having insecurities around my weight and things like that, I've often said to people like, please don't tell me, you know, oh, but you're beautiful, because it's like, it makes it worse almost. Like I know people are so well-meaning, but I don't know, when you're not feeling good about yourself and someone's like, oh, but you're amazing, like you just can't internalize it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a vibrational match for it, and it's abrasive.
It's abrasive is
Yeah.
the perfect word, like
Yeah.
slightly triggering almost, because, and the thing is I hadn't let anyone in my life significantly. Like, I mean, Quantum Man came in and it was this whirlwind, but I knew that it was fleeting. I knew that I was going back to Rome and he lived in San Diego. Like, I just knew that.
Yeah.
And although we kept in contact, it almost made it easier for me to show up uninhibited because I already knew I wasn't going to be around for long. And then what happened when I moved to Toronto, knowing that I was signing a lease, like taking on responsibility, committing to being in a place. You guys know I used to be very flighty, very escaping.
Yeah.
And I signed a lease. So committing myself to living in one place for a year was like a radical like shift in my self-identity. And I had a crush on someone. Like I had developed feelings for someone who lived here in Toronto, and then that's when I started to just become head to head with all my triggers, because I never actually liked someone or fallen for someone enough, I guess, to allow myself to look at my own stuff. Because
well, and you were like sort of seeing this person too,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't like you just liking someone from
yeah.
afar. Like this was someone that you like actively was in your life, in that sense. So of course it had you like really have to look at everything.
And I always say this, like it was like falling for him was like going to war with myself. I let someone in, and upon letting someone in, it was all of my resistance that I had to look at, because it was just a lot. Laura can account.
Yeah. There was just, I mean, I would just witness like the anxiety take over you to the point where like you were so in your head about every little thing that you said. Like there was just so much fear.
So much.
there,
all
right?
I was fear.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's so much that we could talk about here. And you did talk a bit about it like in our episodes with Coach Dan that we had. But I think that like the reason that we bring this up is just the place that you were then was so much fear, so much attachment, right? So much fear around your own emotions, and like, oh, now I'm worrying that he's going to break up with me and I might create that, right? And something shifted within you. And the other thing too, actually, I just want to say first, was that you really believed that you had to overcome like a lifetime worth of not good enough, a lifetime worth of limiting beliefs in order to actually let someone's love in, right? And actually like attract someone who wanted to be in a relationship with you, right? And I think that was like, I mean, that's such a discouraging place to be, especially someone like Zoe, who is like more committed to her own self-development and healing than I think any other human on the planet. And it's like the more you look, the more you find. So if you're in this belief that you have to be, you know, the law of attraction says that you have to be in love, like feeling love in order to have and keep love. And you're like, but I just have a lifetime worth of all this evidence and, you know, things that had happened with your mom, and like it just feels like it's never going to happen, or it's 10 years away.
That's exactly it. The timeline for me in that was far away. But upon like letting someone in, like when I moved back to Toronto, that was my opportunity to do all this like work to get out of the way. And then what happened was Laura and I started to dive into more of this quantum content. And upon that, like Dr. Joe speaks this, is like create a possibility. Like just what's the possibility? And just as you said, Laura, like the possibility of somebody wanting to be in a relationship with me, that never crossed my mind. I was like, I'm not good enough for anyone. So it would be me trying to convince someone that maybe they should like me. But really, that's how I was showing up. Whether I was aware of that or not, that is how I was showing up, was like, I need to try to be convincing, or I need to try to be perfect, because then maybe someone might like me if I'm lucky. And if I'm lucky, it will be a person that I like too. Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And so we started getting into all the quantum stuff, and it was already something I had been applying, and you were starting to get into it. So I remember the first time I kind of talked to you about like the observer effect, and I was trying to describe it, and like it's not really like, there's a reason we built a whole course around it. But you had started to really get it, and we were talking more and more about it, and we had like the download for QC squared. It was such a, like, it just happened in like a few sentences back and forth, where it was such a download. It was, I remember that
literally
moment.
meditating at WeWork, and then boom.
Yeah, it was just there. We were like, anyways. So, and that really had us start to change the way that we viewed manifestation as a whole. Like, I think we'd done it in pockets here and there, but we were still sort of, you know, subscribers of the law of attraction theory. And as we got further into building out the content for QC Squared prior to actually launching it, we were really diving into that content and that way of thinking about manifestation, and something switched within you and within me at the same time, which was you really started to see yourself as the creator and not as the attractor.
Yes.
And with that came an entirely different paradigm of possibility, where you didn't need to overcome every single last limiting belief that you had about yourself. You didn't need to, I mean, up until that point, the guy that you talked about in terms of the guy from San Diego, you'd really believe that he didn't want you. Right? Or that you weren't good enough for him.
Yeah.
He was like the one that was like just a little out of reach kind of thing.
Or way out of reach.
Way out of reach, exactly. And Zoe would like tell me things that he was messaging her, and I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's like in love with you. And she was like, no. Like, you were just like, that wasn't even a possibility in your mind.
Yeah.
Right? But what happened once you, like, this light switched within you, and all of a sudden you started seeing yourself as the creator who could have anything that she wanted simply by, you know, creating it the way that we teach people to in QC Squared.
Yeah, it really was this shift from being disempowered to empowered.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, I've seen and been through a year of everything that I don't want and doesn't feel good and is so much resistance. So why don't I just step into being the creator? And why don't I just play around? Why don't I just play with this?
Yeah.
Like, no attachments. Why don't I just see how this works? And, you know, I had spoken here and there about quantum man to low. And so, like, why don't I just try to seed the manifestation through these different practices that we teach in QC Squared? And why don't I try to manifest the quantum man back into my life?
Yeah.
Because he lives in a different country. And we'd talk here and there. I'd see him when I was back in California. But, you know, I wanted him back in a big way.
Yeah.
Just to see if it would work.
Yeah.
And Lo and I were actually doing one of these special meditations, which we teach you in QC Squared. And as we're meditating, my cell phone was hooked up to a speaker that was Bluetooth for these binaural beats that we like to listen to.
Yeah.
And it stopped because he was FaceTiming me.
Yeah.
And he'd never FaceTimed me
You know, what's
before.
so funny is I'm getting this flashback to a previous episode where we said, don't try to attract a specific person because it's manipulative.
Yeah. But we've learned that you can.
Well, we've learned that it is your reality and you can have whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And you calling forth somebody else specifically does not mean that, like, they come against their will. We are a collective consciousness. So you setting these intentions shifted something within him, which, I mean, I think he always wanted you. And you just started being open to it. Like, he'd been like trying to get in.
I started to view myself as, of course I'm good enough. Of course I'm good enough.
Creator.
I'm powerful.
Yeah.
I am the creator.
Yes.
Instead of feeling like I'm disempowered, I need to convince someone to like me. Like, I know that sounds so, to me it sounds like I'm speaking about a different person now that I know my power. And now I'm so much more confident. And the shift that I made over the last year, but more so the shift that I made since the beginning of the year and really diving into this QC Squared it's a different human.
You are a different human. You couldn't even attract what you attracted last year if you tried. And it was all perfect for what you needed to overcome to really step into your power. But I think, like, the thing that we want to really, like, drive in here is that in order to manifest what you want, and we will finish Zoe's story, but in order to manifest anything that you want, you need to see yourself as being capable of having it. When you are prescribed to the idea that we attract, it's like, it's freaking exhausting.
It's disempowering.
It's disempowering. It's like all these things are outside of me, and I need to pull them towards me. And the only way that I can do that is if I get so healed of all my insecurity and all my self-doubt that there isn't a doubt in my mind, right? And there's a much easier way of going about it, which is understanding. And I know that, like, for some of you, we're a broken record at this point, but we really are going to drive home this message because we just believe it's the message that every conscious creator in the world needs. We really want people to understand that your identity shifts when you understand that you are the power that is God. Your thoughts and this is science that we're talking about, your thoughts create physical reality, and we explain and show how that is inside QC Squared. And so once you, Zoe, like, really understood that, you got to let go of the resistance that said, I can't have this person, I'm not good enough for him, and said, well, I can have whatever I want, I'm the creator of my reality.
Exactly.
So there was an identity shift, but it didn't have to come through years and years and years of you digging up every last limiting belief and you know, eradicating it, which like, I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah. We will always have work to do.
Yeah.
So you saying like, it's going to be down the road, or I'm not good enough yet. Why not? We're on planet Earth to learn and grow through this entire experience. So you can push it off as long as you want, but why not give yourself the gift of having the things that you desire now. And having the tool in your toolbox to do that. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't just work for relationships or money, like we speak to you guys about. Any single area of your life where you're desiring something, you can have it. It does big or small. As Abraham says, it's easiest to manifest a button as it is a castle. You can literally create quantum leaps tomorrow.
So tell us what has happened since then.
Well, since then, you know, since that one FaceTime, we were talking more frequently and regularly. And then as soon as the pandemic happened, then we were talking every day.
Yeah.
And just really building a beautiful foundation for something. And, you know, we live in different countries.
Yeah.
So
During a pandemic. But the point is, like, I mean, he did come back into your life in a very big way.
In a very big way. And in a way that I was so uninhibited. Like, he would call me and I'd be wearing a face mask on FaceTime and I'd answer it. And I'm like, I would not do this. Me last year with this other guy I told you that I was seeing, and I was showing up in so much fear, there's no way I would ever do that.
Because you're no longer in this mindset when you know, like, this quantum method. You're no longer in this mindset of cause and effect. If I do this, he won't like me. If I do this, if I look like this, he won't be attracted. It's like, it doesn't matter what I do. I can go back and recreate anything that didn't go my way, right? Yeah. So it wasn't this, like, because I think before watching you, and I mean, I speak from so much personal experience as well, because I've totally, like, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm going to scare him off. But you were so, like, you know, you were so worried about individual text messages and things like that. That's how fragile your, like, you know, what you wanted was for you in your mind. Whereas with this, you've just had this
conviction about it.
Conviction, and also this trust of this unfolding. And this is what we've talked about, the bridge of incidents. When you understand how this process works, you get to set these intentions and then just let them go, and they immediately start manifesting, right? You were never like, oh, he's texting me, but how come we're not in a relationship yet, or anything like that. You were like, oh, he's texting me. Like, it is all unfolding.
Yeah, and
right?
I'm in complete trust.
Yes, exactly.
In complete trust. And this, you know, this not good enough thing that was really loud for me last year, it's just simply not there anymore, because I know I'm the creator. Of course, it shows up here and there in different ways, but it holds significantly less power. It's not something I choose to entertain anymore.
You, like, quantum leapt out of your ego.
I did.
You didn't have to claw your way out by looking at all of your past stuff, right? And limiting beliefs. You got to, and this is, I mean, one thing we really drove home when we launched QC Squared the first time was that you're going to have a completely different understanding of, one, what reality is and how it's created, and two, the role that you play in creating it. So your identity and your perception of the world that you live in changes in such a way that enables you to manifest without resistance.
Yes. And you understand and know what you've created, and it's only a matter of time until it appears.
Yes.
So that's the thing, is like, even if it's me picking up a FaceTime with a face mask on, I'm like, I know I can't mess any of this up. Right. Because I already know it's all going down the way that I want it to go down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that gives me permission in some ways to just be more of myself every single day, because I can't screw it up because I've created it all already.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So some of, like, the messaging on the QC Squared program page, I was reading it the other day, talks about trying to create abundance in a lack-based reality, right? Mm-hmm. Because even the idea of attraction, and I understand that it does work for some people, but we're speaking to people who have always felt like, why can't I just figure this out? Even the idea that things are outside of you and you have to pull them towards you is lack, right? I don't have them yet. I need them to come towards me. Whereas and so inside that paradigm, you're operating from a place of lack, of not having, right? It's like, it's such a, what's the word? Like, contradiction of itself. when you know yourself to be the creator and you know how to use your thoughts to create whatever it is that you want, you are you're in abundance already. Like as soon as you set that intention, you're like, all right, I created this. It's within me. It's going to unfold around me because it is who I am. Right? You're creating from abundance and you get to attract abundance.
And with that, you have this unwavering faith, because with this process and what we teach in QC Squared is that you know that this works. You prove it to yourself in the course, but you know that this works to a different level, that you can't help but entertain any lower level thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
And you just hold that faith and
You're
trust.
like, no, I create the reality that I want. This is not even a real thing. Like, because you might even have something that, you know, happens that you wish hadn't, or something that you don't feel you called forth, but you still, I mean, I'm a very empowered person. Like I went through something really difficult in the spring from home. I've spoken a little bit about it on Instagram and stuff. And there was like work for me to do there. But ultimately who I am for myself is someone who gets to choose her perspective on life and choose what she creates always. And so even with something that would have like had somebody else like need to move apartments and stuff like that, it was just, I always have a choice to create what I want.
And you're choosing that empowerment within yourself, that energy,
so freeing.
That energy of being the one who gets the choice, being the one with the power.
Yes.
Like it's
my reality.
Yeah, it's your reality. You are the star of the show. You can have anything it is that you desire. And this course really teaches you, has it proved to yourself, like you will come out after 4 weeks a completely different person. I would say the emotional transformations are my favorite ones. Like I explained to you guys just briefly this like feeling not good enough, very low level in the dating like mindset world, and then all of a sudden the up level up to the person that I am today. Like you can have these types of shifts and transformations in 4 weeks time through this program. Like you can completely shift your identity, and you can it's basically like blowing out your ego. Yeah. Like the ego doesn't have to be stripped away like an onion all the time. It can literally be like blown out. Like imagine throwing some dynamite down there and being like, ciao, ego, bye. Yep. Like you're not a part of this dating world anymore for me.
Well, and like this is, in our last episode, we interviewed 4 different people, and that was like the commonality between all of them was that they had a completely different way of being about them, and they spoke about what they wanted as if it was already a done deal, because that's who they've become for themselves through gaining this knowledge and applying it. And it's just like the best thing in the world. Yeah. And so just for me watching Zoe, and I mean, I've had similar sort of just up levels in my personal life as well, but just watching the transformation in you, Zoe, where you didn't have to like dig down to every single limiting belief or every single past experience in order to feel worthy. Like no wonder a different reality has been created around you. You're operating from such a different level of energy. So the ego is separation. The ego is powerlessness. The ego is like, oh, I'm just this person and I don't have a lot of control on the things that happen to me. So when you gain this knowledge and start applying it and start proving it to yourself, it's like what Zoe said, you just blow through pieces of it, because it's like it can't exist anymore in the knowledge that you gain inside QC
And
Squared.
You've proved it wrong in such big ways too. Yeah. That none of those like little limiting beliefs that try to nudge you and get in the way of telling you, well, it's not possible because XYZ. It's like, anything's possible.
I know that's not even true. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So you don't even have those thoughts anymore.
Yeah. So, thank you, Zoe, for sharing your story. It's still in the unfolding. It's all perfect, though. Yeah. But it's mostly just been like, imagine you could set a big intention for your life and just have so much peace of mind knowing that it was unfolding, such that you got to enjoy every single step.
And just enjoy your life so much more. Like I'm so much happier. I'm so much more content. I'm not full of anxiety. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the important thing.
Yeah. So QC Squared is price rising tonight, $100. If you're listening to this after Monday and you've missed pre-sale, don't let $100 be the reason that you'll get this information.
Much more than that.
Trust me. I mean, we had people manifest thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, like multiple people inside QC Squared. Yeah. The first round, and just such life-changing stuff. So
whatever you want, guys.
Whatever you want, it's available to you. You've just been missing a piece of the puzzle, but that's why we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We'll see you in the quantum.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Love you.
Thank you guys so much for spending a piece of your day with us and tuning in to the Low Enzo Show.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate it and share on social media. Be sure to tag us.
Until next time,
stay abundant.